Hello everyone, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Thursday. Because Tuesday was taken up. It's not a big deal. We're gonna do some Genesis decks today, and maybe some other things. Wouldn't that be neat? I think that would be neat. Let's do it. Hope we're all having a good day. So, this is what I've been working with. I've been trying to make, let me take my hat off real quick. I've been trying to make blitzclique work for Genesis. So the thing about blitzclique is that it's a funny deck, and it didn't get very many points. So what you can't see here, you see right there it says 61. That's not true, because the blitzclique cards did get points. It is actually 100. We're at 100 points. This is what I've built so far. I've been testing around with it, but the problem with blitzclique is that, for one, all these cards are still OCG only until they actually officially release in TCG. I can't use them on ladder, so we're kind of stuck as far as testing on ladder goes. But these cards also are really reliant on what your opponent is doing, so it's kind of a lose-lose situation. You might be noticing something weird about this list. It is a going second list. So we are actually explicitly trying to go second. I think these cards are just better going second. But also, going second, you get the Flex Kaijus, one of which is a Thunder, which is really fun. And you also get the Flex the Calc. That's short for calculator, by the way. With the amount of just guys you can spit out onto the field, Calculator is a really funny card to have in here. You don't really use your normal summon very often. And you can also just use some of your other cards to special summon the Calculator out, because it is a Thunder. It's searchable. It's special summonable. It's good. We also have Astrolasma Urania, which is a very powerful card. It's more of a going first card. Well, that's not really true. Yeah, no, it's not. I forgot how it works. It's a going second card. But you know, it's a good card. You want to have it. Yeah, no, I didn't remember this card either. It's coming out in Chaos Origin, as you can see by the OCG part. So it's coming out in the same set as all the rest of these cards. We have two more in the side for some reason. I don't know if I actually want those there or not. We've got the Chalice there. Spellbound, really frustrating card that's allowed in the game for some reason. I just wanted some, I got some, back row hate, but other than that, I wanted stuff I could play going first. Dogmatic of Punishment seemed nice with our, extra deck that we actually don't give a shit about, because the blitzclicks don't allow you to make cards from the extra deck, really. Career card of Incarnate is doing its best impression of Nibiru here, like a free Nibiru. I thought it was, an okay thing. Wow, that's loud. Oh, that was loud. Turn that shit down. So, let's see here. We definitely go Field Spell first. Field Spell is just so powerful. Puts a guy on the other side of the field. Granted, again, the opponent would have set up by this point. We're aiming to go second, so just you know, you have to imagine it, I guess. We'll get Surge. Surge is such a good card. We'll go Surge, pop the token, summon Surge. Now Surge, the problem with the blitzclique cards is they don't actually do anything on summon. You have to do something else first. There is no one card combo in this deck. We'll go Grain, pop the field spell, summon Grain, activate Surge. That'll get us... I think we go Whiska. We could go for the Poplar, but the Poplar doesn't do anything unless they're like the Poplar would be good, but like we just don't have monsters on the opponent's field. This is what I mean by testing this. Fishbowling this deck does not really function correctly because all these cards to summon, they can pop the opponent's shit instead of your shit. But like, if your opponent doesn't have shit on the field because you're doing a sim, you know, Whiska can summon itself and Thunder King, which is really funny. We could theoretically pop something, like we could pop Surge, and that would make Grain and the field spell activate. Field spell comes back to hand. Grain gets us the quick play. The quick play is really cool. It gets the continuous spell onto the field immediately, which is really nice. You do want to run both continuous spells, or continuous traps, I mean, but only one of each, because they are not that good. We also have this card. I should have been, should have had that on the field earlier, but yeah. And that gives us our attack points. It even affects the Thunder King, isn't that cool? God, this deck is really cool. Cool thing about Emmy is that she is a Poplar, so you can't actually activate her effect unless she's added to your hand, except by drawing, which is really, really cool. We can set or put this one on the field. This one allows us to actually shuffle from the hand to just get a search. Isn't that neat? And then we can fucking grab the calc. That's short for calculator, by the way. Then we could go Grain. Can you summarize what this deck does in a paragraph, or do I need to read all of it? It summons a bunch of guys and then goes for lethal. And all the guys summoned by, you know, destroying things on the field. This deck is, like, I think this deck could play first, but the deck wants to go second. Like, I'm like, convinced the deck wants to go second. And we'll put a... Like, you can do this, that helps get a card on the opponent's field. Yep, it's funny, the field spell is actually not going to be called that when it comes over here. It's going to be called Columb or something like that, but it is based on Kowloon, the original one. It's like a solar punk Kowloon. It's interesting. It does seem to be like a solar punk kind of world they're establishing. So yeah, we'll pop that token that we made, get Surge on the field, Grain will activate. Then we can grab the continuous spell. The continuous spell is on the field. We could... I'm actually going to do it like this. So, Whiska will summon everything. Whiska is fucking insane. Whiska just lets you summon whatever the fuck you want. And that's an 8,000 attack calculator, by the way. And then Whiska can also... After Whiska lets you summon, you get to destroy up to that many cards on the field. So we only have our own cards on the field, so we're going to have to destroy this to get our search from Surge. Let's get Crack for follow-up, I guess. Crackle. But yeah, this is... It's not a going fifth. It's legitimately a going second deck. This is like if Tenpai was cool. Is that the calc? It is the calc. 8,000 attack the calc. Yeah, no, it's definitely Crackle. We have all the names of these cards now. Um, can I get them? Does this one have them correct? Yeah, Crackle, still Emmy, still Grain, still Surge, and Whisker instead of Whiska. But yeah, Hideout in the Sky, Columb instead of Kowloon. They decided not to make it Kowloon for some reason. I don't know why. I guess Columb kind of sounds like Kowloon. Oh, that's not. So yeah, this is blitzclique. I think this is a cool build. I'm not like 100% sure on everything, but that's because I haven't really gotten to test it against actual players. Because again, OCG cards can't go on the Genesis ladder until they're actually released. So we have to wait. When does this set release? That's not it. It's soon. It's definitely soon. Okay. Sneak peek at my locals today. Yeah, I think it'll probably go up on the Genesis ladder on Dueling Nexus on this date, I would imagine. But it could be here. I don't know. Oh, if it's tournament legal on that date, they might only let it happen on that date. That would suck. Oh, again, not the right one. But yeah, I think I don't really know. Like this feels right. Like generally speaking, this feels pretty right. Like you don't want to run more than 2 of Emmy, but you don't really want to run just 1. No Thunderclap Monk. What the fuck does that one do again? Yeah, no, I don't want that. I'm going second. I don't want to do that. I could put it in the side maybe, but I don't want that in my going second deck. Getting none testing for the WCQ. Hate it when they do this. Yeah. Hi there. I might actually put 2 Thunderclap Monk in instead of the extra copies of Arania. I don't even know why. I was just like, we'll put those in the side. That's because that one's free. Like that's fine. So there we go. I think that's like decent. If they force us to go first, we can swap out Calc and Urania for 2 Monk. Could be something. And of course, we swap out the Kaijus and shit for Spellbound and Kurikara of Incarnate and maybe Divine Punish or Dogmatic of Punishment. God, I can't believe Spellbound's in the format. Look at this card. All face-up monsters opponent currently controls cannot be attributed or used as material for fusion, synchro, Ixies, or link summons to the end of this turn. Gross. It could be worse. It could be a worse card, but it's pretty gross. Pretty gross. All right. So yeah, this is blitzclique. I don't know. You see my extra 1 point. I had like 1 point left. It's like, okay, Chalice, I guess. Here's the other one I've been working on. Now we have no clue what points the new Adamantipator cards are going to get, but I really want to build. I really want Adamantipator to be something in Genesis format. I'm just assuming they're not going to point them because they're not that good. I mean, Tiamite's pretty good, but like, come on. Like, Dragite's already 20 points. What more do you need to do to the deck? I have no clue how to build this deck. I was just trying something. This deck fucking sucks. Watch this shit. All right. I guess first up we're gonna do magnet bonding. Grab Conduction Warrior. Use the effect. Pow. There's a guy. There's another guy. Oh, no, I didn't mean to do that. Shit. Well. Fuck. And this is the one that needs an adamantipator instead of a rock. Great. Awesome. Anything off the top? Oh, there's something. Oh, there's something even better. If you haven't read Tiamat, it's fucking insane. It just does everything. Let's just add, what the fuck do we want to add? At this point, we probably just want to add researcher. And then we can just summon a rock for free. I guess we'll just summon the guy we meant to summon earlier. We could just make Tiamat here. It's honestly not a bad idea to just clear up our board a little bit. That's the biggest problem I've been having with the adamantipator stuff, is it clogs your board so much with awkward levels. And since we have a dark engrave, we can add a spell card. Let's grab the counter trap. Get researcher on field. And let's gamble. Nope. Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. Oh, wow. Dragite's a really good one here. Dragite has a water engrave. And a draw. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Huh. Well, now what do I do? I think we still make Raptite. Raptite. I guess we get Guardian here. Seems all right. Target a rock synchro is returned to the deck. Places card on top of the deck. I can't. So the problem is, I would really like to make Dragite here. I don't think I have a way to do that. We could pop the Conduction Warrior Linear Plus Minus Magnum to summon the Omega Plus. Add the Magnum back to hand. It only does from hand, though, so we'd just be putting the counter trap back. So we could go for a rank 4. I don't have any rank 4s in here yet. I'd really like to be able to get a 2 on the field, but we don't have one. But, like, it sucks that Raptite doesn't do anything if you don't have a wind in the grave. But we do have the Tiamat, and we do have the Kwakimiru Guardian, right? And we have the counter trap. And we have 2 Book of Eclipse. What more could you want? But yeah, this deck is like really inconsistent. It just, it's that Emancipator just kind of gambling, right? Whew, boy. Actually, this is a good hand because of mates. Mates and Conductor. Mates grab Conductor makes this kind of hand actually really good. We'll go Conductor, put Tiamat on top of the deck for a guaranteed Tiamat excavation. Oh, wow, I wonder what's on top of my deck. Oh, and Dragite too? Oh, we definitely have to go Tiamat, though. We definitely have to go Tiamat, though. Because Tiamat is so good. I think we go Researcher. Oh, we have the Dragite in hand, too. Oh, wait. We don't even need that. We don't even need to shuffle that back. We have the extra summon effect that lets us just summon the Dragite from the hand. Fuck, dude. This deck is fucking insane sometimes. I hope these guys don't get points. I think it's a fairly okay power level for Genesis format. But, like, I could see them getting points too, is the thing. See what we can summon. Nope, 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 nope. Last option. I don't even need that. We have the Guardian in hand. Well, at least I guess the Guardian in hand will be the rock we can reveal to keep Guardian on the field. But yeah, the biggest problem I've been having in this deck is honestly just getting enough level 2s on the field to do everything I want to do. Enough of the tuners, I mean. I guess we could get Analyzer on the field and summon Dragite with the Guardian, which feels a little weird to do, but but we have the Guardian in hand. If we can get another rock to the hand, I don't know if we have the ability to do that. Ah, well. I still think that, like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, maybe we should keep Guardian on field for that, because, like, a monster effect negate is better than a spell trap negate. But getting Dragite means we have another Adamancipator Synchro monster. It's a tough one. But yeah, this deck feels like there's just something awkward about it, right? I don't know exactly how to fix it. Obviously, filling out the extra deck would help a little bit, but like we're running out of points. We can't really fit in a Gallant Granite while we're trying to do this, like, Magnet Warrior stuff. But maybe the Magnet Warrior stuff isn't actually very good. I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm pretty new to Adamancipator too. I didn't play. I wasn't playing yet when this was, like, the meta deck. I came in right after it got hit enough to where, like, it was like the Black Dragon had just gotten hit, I think. And so I didn't really see much Adamancipator, and I never played it. It was my first time really experimenting with it because I think the new cards are really cool. And I thought, Genesis format would be a cool place for it. So we can't use that new Link monster, which would be really helpful, but you can do cool stuff in here. It's just like I'm having trouble. Like, it kind of makes me want to play. There's an Adamancipator spell. Which one is it? Signs? Yeah, that just lets you summon an Adamancipator from your grave. Basically just Monster Reborn for Adamancipator. Which, like, sounds kind of bad, but it'd be really useful for getting a little bit extra on board. I don't know. It sounds really bad is the problem. Yeah, an awesome part about Raptite is that Raptite isn't an end board piece unless you actually have a wind in the grave, and we don't have any winds in the deck because I cut all the wind crystals because they just don't. These other crystals just don't do anything. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I guess you could cut Duoterion, but Duoterion's more consistency for magnet bonding, right? And Conduction Warrior Linear plus Magnum plus minus helps you get your Adamancipator Researcher off to the races, right? There's also, like, There are 3 non, or I guess technically 6 non-engine slots, which is pretty rough. Duo's also water for Dragite. That's also true, yeah. Which is like way more important than getting Raptite going. But I would like to have Raptite going if I could, but I just can't. There's not a good wind rock monster, as best I can tell. What are the wind? Let's take a little trip down the list of wind rock monsters. I'm curious now. We want them to be effects. Doesn't matter. Wind rock. Give me all. Search. Oh, the Yosenjus, yeah. Aroma jar. That'd be really funny, actually. And then a couple of Rush Duel cards. And Gusto Emerald's a rock? Huh. Doesn't really matter for us. Well, you know what? It's a 4. We're able to make 4s in this deck. It only costs 1 point. If it gets in the grave, it makes Raptite online. There's no way that's the play, but it is really funny to think about. So yeah, unless I want to play Aroma Jar or Raptite, the original Raptite, I think we're just not going to have wins. I guess we could play like, we could just like, if we had the room for it, we could eschew, I guess, like Nibiru for Fua. That would be a wind and grave. But I don't know about that. It'll only be good going second. And Nibiru is actually good to like excavate off of Raptite or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. This deck does not feel good enough to get more points, but I have a feeling it's going to get points anyways. We'll see. We'll see. So yeah, that's what I had. I guess if no one has suggestions, let's I've got some other things going on. Like this. This is a Twitter thread MBT posted a couple of days ago. And I just had a fun idea we could do. I want us to work together and develop a definition for what anti-meta means based on this video. Are you ready? Are you ready to figure out a solid definition of anti-meta based on this video? It might be harder than you think. Let's do it.
Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka...
Why is it so quiet?
And we are back with another thread. Today we're talking about, that duelist. You all know the one. It's the one at your locals who will never stop talking about how these disgusting meta sheep can't think for themselves and play a deck that accentuates their skill. Instead, just ripping a list off of Jesse Cotton's newest video and showing up to locals to beat everyone. Well, I'd like to see you beat my Blue Eyes White Dragon, etc.
Okay, DM slop is one definition.
What frustrates me about this people is frequently they harangue everybody for playing top-tier meta strategies, only to realize that their desire to pilot something that plays to their strengths mostly means just playing a stun deck. It's like, I'm going to play the same stupid stun deck over and over again. Today,
okay, but Blue Eyes isn't a stun deck. You understand that, right? Blue Eyes is not a stun deck?
talk about what decks are the most likely to be played by this class of duelist. And we're going to begin with mine. That's Fossil Dynapachycephalo. You filthy net deckers haven't had
stun.
an original thought in your life. You couldn't duel your way out of a paper bag. Anyway, normal summon Fossil.
Okay, so our current definition is... our current definition of anti-meta Yu-Gi-Oh decks are stun decks and blue eyes. What does stun and blue eyes have in common? I don't actually know.
3, Moon Mirror Shield, go. Let's see what you all came up with. But first, new Will of the Council merch, PogChamp. New Will merch for
skip.
We bad hats.
Skip
to the video. That time that the gray one in the same vein. If I saw someone play this in 2018,
okay, still
it was on
stun.
site. God, there was a pretty significant amount of time that Inspector Border was legitimately quite playable, and that entire time was just awful to be playing Yu-Gi-Oh. Cool, man. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm glad that Skill Drain can win the game now. A lot of individuals that fall into this category.
Dinomorphia. I mean, I guess Dinomorphia is kind of a stun deck a little bit. It's got a big floodgate. So I guess you could kind of categorize this in the stun category. I feel like, though, the Venn diagram of Dinomorphia players and anti-meta players is not exactly a circle.
Dinomorphia is an exceptionally popular deck with this class of duelist. I think it has to do with the fact that the playstyle basically just makes a big-ass skill train and forces your opponent to out it. And the outs for this card are pretty numerous. There's like a billion things that deal with this. But every time you play them, for some reason, you never seem to have it. And you get to stare down a Rexstorm while they go, "See, I told you your meta slop couldn't beat this." Yeah, cool.
Has any Dinomorphia player ever said that?
7 life points. That's nice. Yeah, awesome. Oh my god. This is the...
Okay. So now we're adding on... Okay, so blue eyes, stun, OTK? So now we're adding in OTK to this?
One, man. This is the one. Mikanko is that fucking deck. I can't believe they printed more support for this strategy. One of the most irritating strategies in modern memory, and one with a specific alert to this type of player because the whole time you're winning, your opponent's like squirming for an answer. So they get to go, "Your deck has nothing to defeat my powerful card." It also, as this poster alludes to, puts them in a great position. If you can't beat it, then they've masterfully played around your meta deck with their insane rogue strat. And if you do have it, well, it's just because modern decks do everything, and that's just not fair. Yeah, mine release was like Christmas to this type of person.
Okay, back to stun.
Listen, no hate to Jeff Leonard, but everyone but him that played this strategy really irritated me. There was a guy in my locals on Mind Stun right after the Albaz Strike structure released who wasn't using Cauldron to burn. Instead, he wanted to make sure he could live long enough to win with Countdown, even if the mine got outed. Oh my god. That's...
Okay, I have a Mind story as well. I've told this one before, but for those who haven't, at my locals, there was a guy who was like a real meta Andy kind of guy. And my locals are really sweaty for some reason. That's why I don't go anymore. I just don't feel like it. And this guy was playing Adagnister while mine was legal. For those who don't know, while mine was legal, what Adagnister was doing was fucking playing an OTK, and they would just set up Mystic Mine and sit behind that until they drew all the pieces to make their fucking access code OTK work. Fun gameplay, right? And so this guy does this to me. I have Feather Duster in my deck because my locals is so fucking awesome. My locals are so fucking awesome because it is divided between people who are playing like seriously competitively sweaty ass duelist, right? And people who are doing stun decks to prevent those people from beating them, right? It is an even divide, or not an even divide. It is divided between those two factions, though. Like everyone who is not on that is playing some stun deck to like try and get any wins off of the sweaty players at the locals at all. So I always have Harpy Feather Duster on me when I go to that locals for that exact reason. So I'm trying to dig for it, right? And my opponent decides to be like, do you even have an out? Motherfucker, you're the one who played Mystic Mine. You don't get to complain that the duel takes a while. Oh my god. It was so fucking frustrating. I wanted to strangle him. Ugh. There's a reason I don't go to that locals.
Like, not impossible either. You get to a point with Cauldron of the Old Man where they're just not able to do more damage than you are healing. Blech. Yeah, this is another classic.
Okay, OTK again. Hey, wait, there's Hero on here. Why isn't he talking about Hero? Hero has a bunch of floodgates. Shouldn't that be on here? Hero is probably actually the most anti-meta because it has all the floodgates and it's nostalgia bait. It's probably the most like this character he's talking. It's probably the most like this character he's talking about of any deck on here. Well, for some reason he doesn't talk about that one. Weird.
Category. A lot of times people will be playing like a whole bunch of board breakers and then a card that reads, I win the game if I normal summon this onto an empty board. Think Tenpai and the like. But for some reason, the biggest concentration of these assholes seems to be drawn to Ancient Gear. Ancient Gear is a deck almost tailor-made for this kind of player because if you supplement it with board wipes, all the Ancient Gear cards just read, you can't interact with me. So they never really have to engage with what you're doing. The duel gets to be all about them. And boy, will they let you know it. Haha,
Bro
you
got
can
the
be my
screw
Chaos
worms.
Ancient Gear Giant. Yep, you got me. Millennium was
Bro got the screw worms. You see that? It's just sitting there.
People. It's only really got the one play. You get to play the B-Boomer.
Okay, so we're developing this definition. We've got nostalgic cards like Blue Eyes and the Millennium cards. We've got stun cards. We've got OTKs.
Cards all through it. And mostly what it ends up doing is summoning a big guy that is one negate and setting a couple of board wipes. Mogul has driven a spear through my brain, says, I've seen your exact example so many times it's crazy, and then posts Crimson Nova the Dark Cubic Lord. There was such an extended period of time where this was functionally the dual spirit for this type of complainer. You freaking meta Andes. Anyway, we're both taking 3,000. Blue Wanderies is all through this thread. People saying, you know, this is the boomer deck.
What? What? Huh? What are you... What are you talking about? Look, I know Fluanderies has floodgates, and in the past played a lot more floodgates. Boomer deck, though? Boomer deck? Every time I see a boomer talk about Fluanderies, they're complaining about how it has too many normal summons. Back in my day, you could only normal summon once. What are you talking about? This is complete revisionism. What the fuck?
And it's got me a little nostalgic. I played a lot of Flu when it first came out. I remember going to an OTS that was like clearly someone's
Literally, he played Flu.
Converted basement during release week, playing this deck and finding out in real time that it was 10 times more broken than I had first anticipated. But it's shocking seeing people in the thread talk about how this is the classic Boomers deck, when to me, it's still a pretty modern invention. No, retro means like tomato control. Fluanderies is still pretty new. It's only 5 years old. This one's got an exceptionally interesting bit of lore.
Okay, FTKs as well. We're adding FTKs to the list of things that are anti-meta. I think anti-meta just means deck I don't like.
Behind it. Six Samurai is forever.
Is it possible that anti-meta just means deck I don't like?
Arab Emirates Yu-Gi-Oh scene, because we had a guy who one-tricked it, played FTKs to beat meta, and eventually got banned from OTSs over cheating allegations and tons of rule sharking. I'll have to take your word for it.
That's really funny,
Six
though.
Samurai is a good example of a deck that fits the prompt. It permits you to just circumvent the act of playing Yu-Gi-Oh by following a combo spreadsheet that you have memorized.
You think they don't play Yu-Gi-Oh in the United Arab Emirates?
Sarge? I mean, you probably
what are you talking
will just
about?
get scooped on. But you could. Ra's a classic one. All of the God cards, of course, but Ra has the most support. It's the deck that could conceivably be played and win games. So if you sit against someone who is playing the true Sun God, you know you are in for a time. DS Pikachu says, I am that player. No one ever reads the special summoned monsters battle effect. Also, I already tributed 3+ of their monsters, so they're already triggered. Look, they're inventing a scenario where they get to needle the disgusting meta Andy in the thread. At least they're self-aware, man. man. At least they're self-aware. Raw players love doing this. They love watching you set up your board, then smirking and handing you a ball, being like, bet you never saw that before. Yeah, dog. Better decks than you have been doing this. I was so excited to finally cut my teeth on this.
Why you got to be mad? Why are you so mad?
This matchup when I saw the look.
I think really that just comes down to the fact that the kaiju gameplay fucking sucks. I've said this a lot before. The way that kaiju gameplay works fucking sucks. It's just completely uninteractable. You can't do anything about a kaiju coming down. But you have to have them as well, because otherwise you have no way to get rid of towers. So like, as long as any towers are still alive, kaijus have to be alive as well. It's frustrating.
Local stun player had Aneacraft titles on Neuron, only to find out that dumbass mains 3 Vanities Fiend. You know, it's really
Aneacraft is on here because somebody played a bad build with Vanities Fiend in it. Okay. It literally is just deck I don't like. Deck I don't like. Hey, look, deck I don't like. That's anti-meta.
unfortunate because I think Aneacraft is actually not a particularly frustrating deck to play against. Like, navigating their sets makes sense if you know what the Aneacrafts do. And ultimately, they are just guys that sit on the field. The problem is they are always paired with those cards. The Vanities Fiends, the Dimensional Fissure.
Only if you're a bad player.
I mean, you know, in a world where you were
The optimal build of Aneacraft does not have
just
those.
playing the Aneacrafts, this would be pretty interesting. We don't live in that world. Oh. Yeah, man. One of the greats in you freaking meta shit.
Again,
deck
OTK.
design. I remember my first local back after taking a bit of a hiatus during Dragon Ruler formats. I was playing Burning Abyss, and my opponent revealed they were on Grenmaju Soul Absorption. During my first turn, they got to something like 30,000 life points, and I remember being like, that's crazy. I'd never seen it before. And then I beat them. Like, I just did 15,000 damage 2 turns in a row. They were like, you got it. I was like, huh, I sort of expected that would do more. This is a good one.
Describing a perfectly normal person who just played a bad deck. This is a terrible anti-meta person. They seemed perfectly reasonable. Like, they didn't seem like they were being an ass in that story at all.
It says it's not a floodgate, but hear me out. Listen, you don't have to be playing a heinous ass floodgate deck. You can just be playing B-Boomer shit. Blue Eyes being a good deck.
It's just deck I don't like. It's just deck I don't like.
Once but twice was really strange for the community, because usually the individuals playing this strategy are like 32-year-olds hopped up on nostalgia, excited to be able to take the old dragon out for a spin. For a short time, they were actually winning. Yes, there are still people who are one-tricking Blue Eyes in the year of our Lord, 2024.
It's gonna happen again. It's gonna happen again. The new cards are really strong. It's gonna happen again.
26. What I've learned scrolling past the same answer over and over again in this thread is that there exists a metagame under the actual metagame. There's the meta full of Cool Tune that all of these individuals complain about, but there's a smaller sub-metagame of decks that the people who do the complaining play. And in there, Stun and OTK is top tier.
What a fascinating little thing. What a fascinating little view into the mindscape of the average player. Anti-meta is whatever decks I don't like. I know, but we don't need to watch that part. Like,
I'm a chud, I'm a chud, I'm a
like,
fat little chud.
like, I don't need to see that. Not for this concept. Weird that Kashtira wasn't in here, but like, I don't think boomers play Kashtira, right? Like, if the concept of it is supposed to be anti-meta boomers, I feel like a lot of these decks don't actually work for the prompt, right? Yeah, here's some Dynamorphia players shouting out that they don't hate the modern metagame, you know? I just don't think a lot of the things that were brought up in there were relevant. All right. We were going to watch this out of characters video a while back, but we didn't have time for it. So now that it's been 2 weeks, we can watch this now, perhaps.
If you were to say who the best duelist in North America
That's my friend out of
is,
characters.
a few names come to mind.
Go and
But
click
in the
like on the
2025
video.
Season, my answer would be Aditya Darap. Aditya has had a quicker
And, like,
rise
subscribe,
to prominence than almost
and
all
maybe give a
modern pro
comment.
players, going from his first recorded regional top in August of 2023 to winning the NAWCQ in July of 2024, and was a game away from becoming the first back-to-back Nats champion a year later. Despite his many accolades, there was one thing on his bucket list that he had yet to do.
Yeah, I have top 4 at Houston and Providence.
But you've never topped 2, correct?
I've seen the finals once or twice.
NAWCQs, yes. YCSs, this would be a big deal for you to actually make a push and win a YCS.
The date is November 9th, 2025, and Aditya has traveled across the
You should react to
country and
Farva's
climbed
reaction
his
to
way
it. I don't
the
think I need to.
semifinals of YCS Pittsburgh. Over the course of the weekend, he's won 14 matches and lost only 1, an incredible record all things considered. However, he's probably felt better about his upcoming best of 3, because across the table is the only person who's defeated him all tournament, Mutasim Malik. Here, in front of thousands of viewers, they're about to debate who should be given the opportunity to be a champion through the language of a mirror match. While the
Do they make you
Draco Tail
re-sleeve
mirror
up
has
your
a lot
deck?
of opportunities for
That's
skill
crazy.
expression, looking at the opening hands, Aditya's chances of winning are dubious. He's going second, and in standby, he activates a Mulcharmi Fuolos to discourage his opponent from setting up. It is negated by Mutasim's Ash Blossom. Mutasim then begins his main phase with a Ketu Dracotail to search Dracotail Lucaeus, which he normal summons and activates the effect to search. While he does a good job of hiding it, Aditya is in a very desperate position here. His hand contains only one more card that can stop his opponent, his own Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Dracotail is known for its ability to punch through boards going second, but Aditya's prospects are looking grim. The rest of his hand contains a Dracotail Urgula, Pan, and Rahu. Pan and Urgula are powerful cards, but they are high-level monsters, and can only be used in combination with a card that fusion summons, like Rahu. Rahu won't work though, because it is almost guaranteed to be negated if Mutasim is able to pop off, either
True.
by the Ash Blossom he can recycle from the grave, or through Dracotail Flame, a trap card which can negate spell cards that he can set. Aditya is forced to use his own Ash Blossom to negate Lucaeus and pray that it's enough, and this time it isn't. Mutasim has Dracotail 5 mana in hand already, and is able to use it to perform a fusion summon to start his combo. He ends on
That's
the full
rough.
Dracotail board of all 3 traps, including Flame, 2 extra deck monsters, and 5 mana in hand, giving himself the ability to fusion summon on Aditya's turn on top of all of his other interactions. Aditya starts his turn and is blessed with a Destiny draw, a Dracotail 5 mana of his own. His awkward hand
Holy
has had
shit.
its potential unlocked, but he is still confronted with the uphill battle of defusing Mutasim's field. Since Rahu is checked by Flame, he activates his 5 mana first, fusing Pan and Urgula together to summon Arthalion in defense position. Defense position is very important here, because Aditya is playing around Mutasim's Dracotail Horn. This trap can return an attack position monster from the field to the hand and draw a card, but by placing Arthalion in defense, there isn't a good target for it. Aditya then builds a chain of his trigger effects. Chainlink 1 Arthalion to add back 5 mana and Ash Blossom from his graveyard.
Playing Dracotail
Chain
against
Link 2
the
and
Master Duel AI is fucking mean.
3 for Pan and Urgula to destroy cards on Mutasim's field and set Dracotail spells or traps from the deck. Mutasim
Wait,
cards
What-
on
what did that say?
Mutasa's field and set Draco
I'm not paying for Master Duel Draco Tail spells for this
tail
clip.
spells or traps from the deck. Mutasim decides to activate a single
Good.
mystery back row, a set copy of Draco Tail Sting to banish Aditya's Vimena and prevent its recursion. Mutasim also uses Gulamel to destroy Aditya's Arthalion, so he can get value out of it in case it is popped by Pan. This 5-link chain resolves. The set copy of Flame is destroyed, no longer checking Aditya's spell cards, and he is fully in the driver's seat. If you've been paying attention, you
Yeah, that's fair, Lord. It just I imagine I'm like imagining there's got to be like some sort of break they have to let you do this, but imagine like what if you're like having a hard time sleeving something and you're just like I'm running out of time. I can't sleeve. I can't get the card in the sleeve.
might notice
Did they give you a double sleeve or did they just give you the one sleeve? Let's think on that as we take a quick ad break.
Night of the Lepus. Rated PG.
Now a special bulletin direct from American International. Is it too late? Is our planet doomed? Life as we know it at an end? Right now, Godzilla is laying waste to New York, Rodan is attacking Moscow, Manda is smashing London, and Peking trembles under the wrath of Mothra. Our battle cry must be, destroy all monsters. In color from American International, this picture is rated G. Destroy all monsters. 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 Monsters.
And we're back.
Thing odd here. Aditya has monsters in attack position. In fact, every monster he summons for the rest of the turn is in attack position as he lines up his field for an attack. But Horn is still on board. He never destroyed it. Remember like a minute ago when I said all this stuff about how correct it was to put his fusion monster in defense? In the span of 2 chains resolving, the situation has changed completely. Aditya added back his Ash Blossom to hand, which can be used to negate cards that draw cards, including Dracotail Horn.
And speaking of this trap, here comes the separate horn.
Target.
This is going to be huge
Okay,
to get
cool.
the
The
Secretary of
Ash
Grant.
Blossom, though, it was still in hand, so it's going to stop a dead cold in the Trex because it does include the effect to draw a card.
Now, we know we can play around Dracotail Horn by putting monsters in defense. We saw Aditya do it. A question you could potentially ask here is this. Why even give Mutasim a chance to activate the card by playing into it and putting your monsters in attack? Isn't it a bit of a waste?
No, you got to get rid of it someday.
This might seem strange since everyone knows you have to attack to win, but hear me out. Theoretically, Aditya could continue summoning all of his monsters in defense to completely deny the value of Horn. It's common knowledge that Ash Blossom is a very important card in the Dracotail matchup because it can negate spell cards like Rahu and Ketu, and these are
True.
the deck's most powerful cards. Aditya could save it for a more impactful card than Horn. He could summon all of his monsters in defense, wait a
Unless he's
turn
gonna
or
win
two,
this turn.
cycle the Urdula back to his hand, and use it to destroy the Horn before it gets rid of anything important, instead of committing so hard to the field. Obviously, he doesn't do that, and it's because that would be a mistake. In order to understand, we must know the macro level goals of the Dracotail strategy. Dracotail was released in Justice Hunters alongside 2 other meta-relevant decks, and probably puts up some of the weakest fields of the 3, but it does have a couple of important advantages to compensate. A major one is that it can play on the first turn of the duel courtesy of Dracotail Phimena, regardless of who goes first. It also has very powerful options to rip apart opposing fields as we saw Aditya leverage. However, the last advantage it has is inevitability. This is the idea that if a game goes long and both players burn through their deck's resources, the strategy with inevitability will come out on top. What this means in practice is that the engine has the ability to easily recycle its cards. While we've already said that the Dracotail spells are very powerful, the traps do something much less flashy. Aside from the disruption they put up, they shuffle Dracotail cards that have been used back into the deck and draw a card. From these 3 traps springs the inevitability of the deck, since as long as they resolve, you can continue to play the game. Between Arthalion fishing cards out of the graveyard and the trap's recycling ability, you can play the Dracotail engine far longer than the other engines, and thus
It's crazy that Dracotail is just able to do that
the
forever.
longer a game goes for, the more Dracotail is favored. If Dracotail gets to play, it is inevitable. Hopping back into our game, you can see right here that Aditya has a distinct advantage. Mutasim's shields are down, and outside of Horn and Phimena, he has very little left available to him in terms of disruption. Aditya opts to use Ash to apply pressure because taking the game into a grind can only give Mutasim a slight opportunity to build up his resources again. Playing this way breaks Mutasim's ability to shuffle back his own traps, since none of them have gotten the chance to recycle the others, and eliminates all of his monsters that could potentially serve as material or force out Aditya's disruptions. Even though he hasn't been defeated, Mutasim from this point lacks a win condition and is forced to concede the game. In the finals, Aditya goes on to take a well-earned win in his first YCS trophy. In-game decision-making in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is without a doubt one of the most complex yet crucial aspects of succeeding at a high level. Decisions often ask players to weigh a bunch of competing factors from various axes of the game against each other, and determine which are the most important in a given game state. Let's take both another look at this match and a page out of Mark the Page's book by using everyone's favorite game theory idea, the payoff matrix. When Aditya summons his first Arthalion, he has...
Why does the cameras that Konami provide shake like this?
to
Right?
make
This
the
is
decision about whether to put
this is
it in
official.
attack or defense position.
You can see it shaking over and over again.
This box will
Shouldn't they have a better setup than that?
represent the outcome of Arthalion in defense, and this box will represent the outcome of Arthalion in attack. If Arthalion goes in defense, Mutasim
Just a little
isn't able to
rinky-dinky
use
company,
Horn on it,
yeah.
So it's ultimately going to
If you look at their live streams, it really feels that way.
the field. If it's in attack position, however,
Like I've wanted to do like streams where we just watch Genesis gameplay from the YCSs before. I've tried it. It's just unwatchable. It's so fucking unwatchable. Out of Characters is only making it watchable by cutting out a lot of the bullshit. Like if we go and look, this is a huge tangent, but if we go and look at Yu-Gi-Oh, that's not gonna. Will this get us there? Yeah. If you go and look at, let's say, YCS Columbus Day 2.
The trophy that's right.
Let's
Play
just-
against for sure, and make sure your side deck's well prepared for the tournament.
That makes sense. But let's talk about your
That looks
pre-event
good.
routine a little bit more. What does it look
This-
like as you lead
They got
up
some like
into the
fancy
weeks,
cameras
and
for
maybe even
this.
just the week of the
This
YCS?
doesn't look half
I'm
bad.
not too sure. Sometimes I'm like really confident.
Now let's look at the actual gameplay.
He's in Lucas's deck in his match
Oh.
against Dominic, and they are going to be more than live in this mirror match.
Certainly, but let's start with Fallen the White Dragon. We're going to send, looks
Oh.
like, Albion the Branded Dragon to the graveyard in order to special summon Fallen of the White Dragon, then use its effect to bring out Incredible Ecclesia, perhaps? Could be any
Oh.
Ecclesia monster.
Like
This is so far pretty standard stuff.
at least this is actually working. We were looking at it last time, it was like day 1 and they hadn't gotten everything working yet. Like they were trying to pull up cards, they're pulling up the wrong cards or not pulling them up the right time. It was crazy.
However, Mutasim can return it to the extra deck with Horn. Therefore, the outcome is no Arthalion for Aditya, no Horn for Mutasim, and Mutasim draws a card. We can compare these two outcomes using the basic metric of card advantage. Defense position is a net 0 for Aditya, whereas attack position has the potential to be a -1. If we compare the value from both options, this decision is very easy. Let's compare this to Aditya's next summon, the Secretarian Dragon. If it's summoned in defense like before, Mutasim can't use his Horn, and Aditya saves his Ash for later, a net 0 in card advantage for this interaction. Putting Secretarian in attack position, however, gives Mutasim the ability to use his Horn, which Aditya is essentially forced to negate with Ash Blossom. This is also a net 0 in card advantage.
It was a cool
so
effect.
we
I
can't
was
rely
laughing a
on
little
it to
bit. It
determine
is
which
kind of
option
funny,
is
but
better.
it's not bad.
Here we are forced to compare other factors.
Are these cards also pulled from the stream? Because they are very low
About
res.
the game state that happened as a result of this decision. From what we went over earlier, we know that because of the grind game of Dracotail, attacking and putting pressure on Mutasim is what Aditya valued over having his Ash Blossom in hand, and that having Ash Blossom to give Aditya the opportunity to exact that pressure is what makes this choice preferable compared to the earlier scenario. If you play chess, you might be familiar with the phrase, the
Thanks.
threat is stronger than the execution. Chess is full of these hidden consequences of moves where just the acts of occupying a column with a rook or pointing an attack at a knight that the queen is cowering behind are enough to cut off options from your opponent or force an unproductive response. This can generate value, even if these moves don't directly result in a capture. The phrase is credited to Aaron Nimzovich, one of the strongest chess players in the early 20th century, and there is a story that goes along with it.
the threat is stronger than the execution. And do you know where that comes from?
No.
Emmanuel Lasker chomped on during the games, and he smoked the most foul-smelling cigars this side of Cuba. It was really, really bad. It reeked at the playing hall. So all of the participants in one of these major tournaments dug into their pockets, and they bought
the energy this man exudes is very strange.
For Emmanuel Lasker the finest cigars they could find. And Emmanuel was very, very grateful, and he came the next day with the awful smelling cigars and put them on his table. And Nimzovich ran to the arbiter and said, "Arbiter, look at these cigars but he's not even smoking them." "Yes, but the threat is stronger than the execution," complained Nimzovich. And in this case, you got to give the guy credit. That was brilliant. That was a great quip.
There is no real need for you to know this. I just thought it was interesting. In Yu-Gi-Oh!
Power of video essays as a medium is the ability to make your audience learn about random, dubiously related bullshit all against their will. True! Truth! It also made them learn about dubiously true things as well. That's also a power I like about video essays.
When your opponent has a disruption and you're deciding how to play into it, you have to determine which is more valuable to them, the threat or the execution. There are many instances where playing around a card is a bad choice due to the other factors about the game state, like the grind game of Dracotail. It might feel like an intelligent choice to respect your opponent's cards, but it can be actively detrimental to your results if you do it at the wrong time. In this excellent video by Jesse Cotton, highly recommend you watch it, he goes over how Dracotail Horn pretty much has a hidden effect when people have too much respect for it.
It's interesting because this Dracotail Horn has this implicit ability that as long as it's there and your opponent either knows it's there or expects it's there, they're going to be summoning monsters in defense mode. At least they should be. It essentially acts as a level limit area B as long as it's face down. When your end goal for your deck is to stay alive, a level limit area B, an attack floodgate, actually does the job pretty well.
As a Yu-Gi-Oh player, when you are sizing up your opponent's disruptions, you must determine if the threat or the execution is more important to your opponent, and make your decisions accordingly. Dracotail Horn is the box of smelly cigars on the table, creating value purely through what it has the potential to do.
Insane out of characters lore. What the fuck, dude?
To give
really
an
like the
example
smell of
that
cigarette
Jesse
smoke. Might just be a
not
baby.
so fond of,
What the fuck?
The inherent risk reward of this idea is very easy to see when looking at
Niao.
combo spreadsheets. It's pretty common for spreadsheets to have a safer line that plays around a hand trap if you think the execution is more valuable, and a greedier line that plays into it for a stronger end board if you think.
This is like the promise of Maxi as well, right? Maxi is supposed to limit the ways that people play, but it actually does it in practice. But you know, it does in theory.
I think the threat is more valuable. Because I'm behind, I have a Malice spreadsheet from Alliance Insight format in 2025. This was monetized.
Part of it is because the threat being scarier than the execution relies on your opponent understanding the threat, right? Your opponent has to actually know that they're under threat. If they don't understand that, the threat doesn't work.
These combos are top secret. You all gotta promise you're not gonna tell anyone. There are 2 lines listed for the 1-card Malice and Underground combo. One option commits.
The scary gun won't work on me because I'm a dumbass. If they don't intend to fire it, yeah.
Wizard at Ignister much earlier, meaning at this point in the combo, you could lose all of these bodies to Nibiru. However, as a reward, you end on triple co-linked Firewall Dragon, which can return up to 3 monsters from the field and graveyard to the hand, allowing you to remove your opponent's cards and recycle your own.
I love that out of character uses Rude Buster for his videos. It's such a good song.
The alternative line does not give your opponent nearly as good of a Nibiru, but forgoes Firewall as cost. The decision of which line to do is an example of risk-reward that we could model in our payoff matrix. Now, if you've been paying attention, you might notice that the last example we've looked at has kind of departed a bit from playing around Dracotail Horn. At the Pittsburgh semifinals, Dracotail Horn was known. It was public information when Mutasim set it off of Fimena's effect on turn 1. This is very different from deciding whether or not to play around a hand trap like Nibiru in a Malice deck, since there is no telling if your opponent will have it or not, usually. So,
True, yeah.
Mathematically, when should we put our opponent on Better Have It? Well, to start with, there are many situations where playing around a card has no notable downsides, like activating Dimensional Fissure before packs to play around Droll and Lockbird. Eric. Putting those scenarios aside, to model these situations, we have to adjust our payoff matrix by
Good burn? Question mark.
adding a second axis. This one will represent whether or not your opponent has a certain card you could play around.
I just realized the hand that he uses here, is that fucking... That's fucking the Psychic Commander or whatever the fuck? What is that card called? What is that card called? It's like Psychic Commander? Something like that? Oh god. I'm not gonna be able to find it like that. Psychic Commander? No, that guy... That's okay. That's the OCG art where he's doing like a Heil. He does like a point in the censored art though, right? Or something like that. Yeah. That's really funny that he pulled that out to point at shit.
It's worth noting that these two rows have a variable likelihood of occurring that is not necessarily equal. To use the basic example of Nibiru, if we know our opponent is playing 3 copies in a 40 card deck, we can calculate that they have a roughly 1 in 3 chance of drawing it in their opener. From there, we can make a quadrant to represent the results of each situation. Playing around Nibiru when they have it, playing around Nibiru when they don't have it, playing into Nibiru when they have it, and playing into Nibiru when they don't have it. There currently isn't a great model for turning an end board into a number to evaluate how strong it is, but if there was, you could determine which choice is better through a weighted average. It falls to the duelist's skills to evaluate which option is optimal, with the knowledge that regardless of which side you choose, you get the top outcome 2/3 of the time and the bottom outcome 1/3 of the time. However, to complicate it even further, this 1 in 3 chance of drawing Nibiru isn't universally applicable. If you've watched my video on bluffing, you know that there are ways you can gather information to better assess what your opponent might have. The most basic of this information is paying attention to the game state.
Dream of one day having 3 layers of out-of-characters video instead of an out-of-characters video.
If my opponent searches a copy of Nibiru, the chance of them having Nibiru jumps from 33% to 100%. You knew that, and our payoff matrix looks like the one from earlier with Dracotail Horn. There's a variety of other factors that can change this percentage more incrementally. For example, if our opponent is playing Dracotail and we know they're playing Nibiru and the month is March of 2026 while I was researching for this essay, I might expect them to see it 1 out of every 4 games. In March, 2 Nibiru was a common ratio to play in the main deck of Dracotail. This type of thing is both a skill you can hone and a method of tournament preparation. By closely paying attention to your opponent, the game, and the format, you can more accurately assess the possible outcomes and their expected values to guide your in-game decisions to more preferred outcomes. We've already explored that looking at card advantage and your opponent's win condition are important factors when making a decision. However, there are a number of corner cases that I wanted to look at to round out this essay. One important factor when looking at whether or not to play around a card is which player is currently at an advantage. We saw in the match between Aditya and Mutasim that when Aditya was ahead, he was willing to trade his Ash Blossom 1 for 1 with Mutasim's Dracotail Horn. When you are at a distinct advantage to your opponent, you can afford to make weaker plays to play around specific cards of theirs that might get them back in the game. Let's look at a more extreme example from the quarterfinals of 2025 Worlds. Rosalie Thorkildsen is piloting Sky Striker against Isaias Estrada, who is on Crystron K9. Rosalie is playing a build of Sky Striker without any hand traps, which counters the K9 engine. K9 17 Izuna is one of Isaias' most powerful cards, able to set up a rank 5 Xyz on either player's turn if Rosalie activates a monster effect in hand or grave.
I like that Out of Characters makes these videos theoretically approachable for people who don't know Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know if that actually succeeds, but it's not the fault of Out of Characters if it doesn't.
Isaias' hand is subpar, and he ends on a notably weak board that Rosalie totally dismantles through the use of his Cyber Dragon Infinity as material for contact fusion.
Oh, it's Mega Fleet!
Wow!
And a Book of Eclipse.
Thank you.
Though she can't kill him, she attempts to pass the turn back to him in a commanding position with 5 set spell traps and a Sky Striker Ace Shizuku. Before going to the end phase, Isaias opts to destroy her Shizuku with Crystron Cluster to prevent Shizuku's end of turn search effect. Rosalie has the opportunity to salvage the damage by activating the grave effect of Sky Striker Ace Ray, which can summon itself from the graveyard when an opponent destroys a Sky Striker Ace Link monster. It's pretty much free advantage. However, she opts not to.
Wait, can you not bring back Ray? Maybe she just doesn't want it.
This right here is a really heads up play. If Rosalie activates Ray, she could turn on Isaias' potential Izuna, which could eventually lead to an untargetable Zeus wiping her field through the help of Lupus.
Yeah.
Rosalie doesn't know if Isaias has Izuna, but she has a bunch of disruptions on board and an alternative way to a follow-up Sky Striker Link in the form of Linkage. Because of Isaias' weak board turn 1, Rosalie is in such a winning position that she can easily afford to let Ray go to ensure she doesn't have to deal with the potential danger of Izuna in Isaias' hand. However, if Rosalie was very behind here, like maybe she has 4 or fewer cards in the back row, activating Ray very well could be the only path to victory for her. In that scenario, it makes far less sense to play around Izuna because even if Isaias has it, she probably will still lose regardless. When making decisions, these are the sorts of ideas you should consider in your own mental payoff matrices. Another important thing to keep in mind when deciding to play into a card is the effect of the card you're playing around. In this stream clip from December, Jesse Cotton commits what we know to be a cardinal sin in the Draco Tail mirror.
Why'd I put this in attack mode? Not the brightest. Not the brightest. Fuck, that's so stupid. Alright, well, I'm on attack mode now.
Jesse recognizes that he has already played into Horn, but if he puts the rest of his monsters in defense, his opponent will just be gaining additional value out of it. The initial play was obviously a mistake, but to not commit to attack position would be an even greater mistake when he can put some
Again, the threat relies entirely upon your
pressure
opponent.
on his opponent. After his error, playing into Horn is the optimal play here, because the Horn is single target removal, and summoning in defense position would just give his opponent added value to the threat that is already going to be executed upon. Even good players can make mistakes. Jesse shows his skill by adjusting properly, and is still able to walk with the game. However, this decision changes completely depending on the effect of the card you're playing into. Let's look back at Nibiru. A common way to deal with it is to threaten to summon a monster that can negate Nibiru to essentially force your opponent to use it or lose it, and then continue to play after. However, unlike single target removal like Horn, summoning 5 monsters into Nib does not necessarily mean you should summon even more without forcing it out, because it will just make things worse. Like we saw with the Malice combos, and unlike in Jesse's game, committing more cards into Nibiru will just mean losing more resources when it finally comes down. When players are playing around each other's cards properly, a funny quirk can occur: checking. A check is a card that counters another important card, and thus must be saved for that card specifically. K917 Ripper can negate monster effects that—
Why do they make that, give it that extra K? It's the Checker America.
activate in the hand or graveyard.
Now with
and
standard
is often
English
made
card.
early in the turn to check cards like Nibiru and Droll and Lockbird. Checks are a way that cards can generate value purely through the threat that they pose, since as long as Ripper's on the field and isn't negated, the opponent's Nibiru is effectively useless. Occasionally, two
Deltarune Explosion will get me every fucking time. Anyways, chat.
cards can even check each other, leading to a bit of a stalemate. Let's take a look at an example from a game I played at my locals. I have opened a sideboarded copy of Keshira Fenrir, a copy of Dracotail Flame, and the rest of my plays on my turn have been stopped by my opponent's hand traps. My opponent is on Vanquish Soul K9 and is now forced to play with a smaller hand with few attributes due to the hand traps he's used. My opponent has a copy of Vanquish Soul Caesar Valius in hand, and leads with a normal summon of Vanquish Soul Dr. Madlove, activating its effect on someone to search a Vanquish Soul spell or trap. Caesar Valius has the ability to special summon itself as a quick effect by targeting and returning a Vanquish Soul monster on the field to the hand. What this means in practice is that if I ever use the Fenrir effect to banish my opponent's Madlove face down, my opponent can dodge it by chaining Caesar Valius, and Caesar has enough attack points to destroy Fenrir by battle. Caesar is thus a check to Fenrir. However, it also goes the other way. If my opponent ever proactively tries to summon Caesar Valius, they've activated a monster effect, and my Fenrir can trigger to banish it face down.
Very
funny.
funny.
This means that Fenrir is also a check to Caesar. Here is how the turn played out. I decide to hold my Fenrir effect off of the read that my opponent opened Heavy Borger or Caesar, since playing into either card would be a very bad outcome for me. My opponent searches and plays Vanquish Soul Start, which I negate with Dracotail Flame, links off into Rock, and has to pass the turn doing nothing. We were both unable to get value out of our cards purely because the player who committed first was put at a massive disadvantage due to their opponent's potential.
This is something I talk about in sumo a lot, actually. When two sumo players, sumo wrestlers, I should say, not players, get stuck in the middle, like get in a real check, like a real balanced situation, stalemate, a real stalemate situation. Usually the person who moves first is the one that's going to lose, right? You have to be very careful when you make that first move, which is why neither of them want to move and they stay in the stalemate position. So the stalemates in sumo kind of perpetuate themselves. In Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not so much the same situation, but there's a stalemate going on between Caesar Valius and Fenrir here, so neither one of them wants to move.
Counterplay. Recognizing the proper time to use cards proactively versus reactively is a significant part of proper technical play in Yu-Gi-Oh! And something that I would love to go more into depth on in a future video. The value cards can generate simply by existing is not limited to in-game plays, but all choices made regarding the game, even outside of the duel. When I was going over the Sky Striker Crystron game at Worlds, one thing I did not really dwell on is the fact that Rosalie is playing Sky Striker at Worlds. That's crazy, right? When you're thinking of strong Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks in 2025, you think of Dracotail, you think of Yummy, you think of Malice, and you definitely think of Vanquish Soul, the deck she played to get her Worlds invite in the first place. Striker is not one of these.
Thank you for putting the Yuri video in there, Out of Characters. Out of Characters, if you're watching this later, thank you for putting the Yuri in there.
Rosalie's deck is anti-meta, built specifically to chew through the boards of decks she expected to play.
That was a stimulation for me specifically.
In our earlier example, Rosalie did not activate her Ray effect engraved to avoid dealing with Izuna, because Ray and Rose are the only cards in her deck that can trigger it. She played 0 hand traps in her main deck. As can be seen from her record going into semifinals, it went pretty well.
So this deck is built on the premise that blind I am going second. But it's also built in a way where, like, if I know my opponent is playing a deck that is not Dracotail or Yummy, which I was expecting to be the most popular decks, I want to go first.
Her deck is built
Hey
to
there.
hard counter the decks in the room through the use of
Doing
aggressive
all right.
going second
Doing all right.
options like Triple Tactics, Thrust, and Raigeki, but in the semis she is paired against a matchup she is not prepared for. Lunalight, piloted by Tom Kleingräber. There's like an umlaut in there somewhere, I think. Lunalight is known for its main win
Yeah, Kleine Graber.
condition that
That's about
strikes
right.
fear into the heart of many a duelist. Lunalight, Liger, Dancer. 3800 attack. Quick effect. Destroy all of your opponent's special summon monsters. Unaffected by card effects. This is a card that
Thanks.
Rosalie's deck
That's good. That was fun.
has literally no answer to, and Tom is playing 2 of them.
So,
Yeah, because you picked going first in top 4, right?
yeah, to be fair, that was against Lunalight, which this deck, spoilers, does not have Surgical Striker Hand in the side deck. It should, but I did not think of Lunalight, or well, I did, but I didn't think people would actually bring it, so I decided to not play hand. And without that card, if Liger Dancer touches the board, the game ends. Your only out is linkage into Kagari with 13 spells engraved, which is not happening.
Rosalie is forced to go first because her only way to beat Liger Dancer is to stop it from getting summoned in the first place.
I think Rosalie chose to go first.
Gross ass card.
Possibly willingly for the first time this weekend.
Since her deck plays no hand traps in the main, if she goes second like her deck is primarily built for, she is almost guaranteed to lose, so she must go first. She wins the die roll, and in game 1 this plan works. Striker can put up a formidable field, and Rosalie is a monstrous player who deserves to be where she is, and Tom just can't chew through it. However, in game 2, Tom decides to go first, and it's a completely different story. Even the casters can't pretend this game is not about to be completely one-sided.
All right, Tom's time to start things off.
That is a handful of spells for Rosalie. Could this be the shortest feature match we've had so far this weekend?
Game 2 is about half the length of game 1. Rosalie gives it her best shot, but 13 spell boosted Kagari off of linkage is not to be, and she resigns midway through resolving her deck's
I like that they have little cards for everything. That's funny. It's cute.
strongest card because Liger Dancer is just that oppressive in this matchup. All this
Why don't they have little cards for everything in America?
goes to show that the threat certain cards can pose can influence decisions even before the opening hands have been drawn. If we were to create a payoff matrix for Rosalie's decision to go first or second this match, going first might not look all that appealing due to the way that her deck is built, but to Rosalie, going second is hell, and Liger Dancer is Satan.
This is one of my favorite bits to do, is to say blank is hell and blank is Satan.
Finally, I would be remiss if I did not mention that when all the layers of complexity and skill
Like an onion
expression
or an
are
ogre.
stripped away, even if you make the correct decision with higher expected value, Yu-Gi-Oh! Can be a game of luck. This even applies to players taking the conservative options of their payoff matrix, instead of the greedy line. In the OCG, there is a match famous enough that it has its own wiki page, Seiku Seiku Uarashi, or the MST Heavy Storm Incident. This occurred during the 2012 World
But out of characters, I want to ask you why the hosts are dressed like pirates. I want to ask you why.
Championship final for Dragon Duel between Yoya Minami of Japan on Insector and Yu Hao Liao of Taiwan on Dino Rabbit. In game 1 of the match, Liao wins the die roll and opts to go first.
Look at that! Well, you know what? Actually, the way duels look right now is fine. You know what? Actually, the way duels look is fine. Actually, because they could look like this.
He sets up a board of Evil Zarlagia
Holy
and 4
shit.
back row, one of which is a macrocosmos. In 14 years, some things haven't changed much, I guess.
Judge pointing out that Pot of Duality actually is banished instead of going to the graveyard because of Macrocosmos. Macrocosmos, a card that can really cause Insectors a lot of trouble.
Because Insector players needs their Inductors in the graveyard, right?
That's right.
Insector loses to Macro, but it excels going second through the use of Insector Hornet to destroy the opponent's cards. Minami's hand contains 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon and 1 Heavy Storm. It seems like a strong set of cards against his opponent's field, but it's not clear what the best way to play them is. Any retro player worth their salt would know committing multiple spells and traps to the field is a sign that the player has some counter to Heavy Storm, since not playing around it would be foolish.
In this case, they quite literally have it right up on the field that have the Logia, but they also have, 3 other back row, right?
Instead of trying to bait Logia and rip the Heavy or MST the Macro straight away, Minami decides he's going to use his MSTs to try and destroy his opponent's likely out, Starlight Road. This is definitely a more conservative approach, attempting to play around his opponent's potential responses. He is right to fear Starlight Road, but he gets unlucky. After destroying 2 of Liao's mystery spell traps with MST, the last remaining back row of Starlight Road is up on him to negate the Heavy Storm. With the macro up, Minami has no hope of clawing his way back into this game, and he concedes. He wins game 2, but is put in a similar position in the 3rd game with fewer tools at his disposal and loses the match. The entire best of 3 takes less than 15 minutes. This match is famous because of this unlucky outcome for Minami, to the point where his iconic grief-stricken pose after losing the match even has ASCII art made out of it.
What? Dude. Dude. Imagine being this kid now, and what you're mostly known for online is having ASCII art made of the worst day of your childhood.
His loss is a tragedy since it comes in spite of the respect he shows for his opponent's disruptions. To Minami, the execution is more valuable to his opponent than the threat here. He is willing to invest his 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon to try and resolve Heavy Storm, but he is still thwarted by raw chance. I will defend to the end that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is broadly a game of skill, but this match teaches an important lesson. No matter what you decide to play around, no matter how conservative your approach, and no matter how much you throw away out of an abundance of caution, there is always a chance that your play can be thwarted. Though it is crucial to self-reflect on what you can do better after each match, it is also important to recognize and make your peace with what you cannot control.
Yeah, that classic one where it's just set 5, Harpies for the Duster.
With that, I am out of characters, so I guess this is the end. As I approach 10,000 subscribers, I wanted to sincerely thank you all for your support for my channel. It really means a lot to me. I never thought I would get even this far. As always, thanks to Dan Parker for editing my script, and Low Fat Ham for helping me recreate some of the games you saw in this video. Also, a massive thanks to my patrons, including...
Okay, we're not going to listen to that patron crawl. I don't need to hear all the people who give Out of Characters money instead of me. No, I'm kidding. I love Out of Characters. He's a great guy. It's a good fucking video. God, that was a good video. God, what a good video. You know it's a good video when it makes you want to go work on your own videos. Like, I have some videos I need to work on. Fuck. I gotta go work on my videos. Everyone comment about how it's a good video. Good video. Smile. Let's see. Yeah. There you go. That should be the link for it. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that shit for Out of Characters. Don't forget to subscribe to the Batches library too. Lots of videos going up there. I've just taken over the editing, so it's gonna all the videos come out a lot faster now. Hopefully my editor is gonna be doing like some more artistic stuff. That's gonna be more interesting for them to be doing. So hopefully we'll be getting some more stuff like the season 0 recap thing. Let's see. I also wanted to. Yeah, there we go. So if you haven't seen, that's not what I want. You could become a member. I wouldn't suggest it. You could just do Patreon instead. Posts. That's where it is. Posts. I'm trying to do something with Golden Nova and one other person. Not sure who the other person's going to be yet. But if you have any Yu-Gi-Oh problems that could only be solved by a bunch of content creators doing a bunch of comedy over it, give your problems to us here on YouTube or on Blue Sky. I've got threads on both places, or on Patreon. I got threads on Patreon as well. Because Golden Nova and I are going to do a McElroy parody, My Duelist, and Me, an advice show for the modern duelist, or Yugist. And we're actually going to do it. I don't know when we're going to do it, but we need your problems, so make sure to give them to us. Is there anything else we want to watch? I don't really have anything else. I'm out of stuff. I don't think we need to watch. We have to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Commander. Magic player can't believe these old Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards are real. Wow. We could watch 3 hours of Joshua Schmidt ranking every banned Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. That would be pretty cool. Or 8 hours of Josh rating every format, true. We could just watch hours and hours of Joshua Schmidt. I don't actually watch Josh's stuff. I don't have anything against him. I just don't watch his stuff. Why is Pear Bear Scare his thumbnail? I watched a 3-hour video on Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetypes lore. Then my friend, I have the channel for you. Golden Nova Yu-Gi-Oh! Perhaps a 6-hour one for Dual Terminal? Wow! This is the channel for you. At the gym right now, excited to see all the shit you talk about me when I'm done. You know, I mostly went on tangents. Good old Golden Nova. You guys should subscribe to Golden Nova and watch all the videos. Really cool dude. And I edit for him sometimes. I'm working on one actually right now. I'm not right now, but I was working on a video last night. Folks, do you want to? I can let you in a little secret. Gradles are coming. Let's see here. We duel with only 0.1% usage rate cards. Okay. Which deck should you play? Definitely Ritual Light and Darkness, right? Between Ritual Light and Darkness, Invoked, and blitzclique, it's definitely Ritual Light and Darkness, right? It's interesting how in his thumbnails they always clean shave Jesse. Like whenever Jesse's in the thumbnail, he's a lot more clean shaven than he is in the actual video. Why is that? It's just as thumbnails metrics, you know. Ritual decks are fun. Oh my god. The Ritual Light and Darkness deck is so fucking cool. I actually love it a lot. It is extremely powerful, though. Extremely powerful. Definitely deserved the hits it got on Genesis points list. Holy shit. If they hadn't pointed it that way, it was going to ruin the format. It is such a powerful deck. The thing about fucking Ritual Light and Darkness is the fact that Mind Shuffle isn't a once per turn. Why isn't Mind Shuffle a once per turn? Like, what is up with this shit? You can return a level 7 or higher monster you control to the hand. Special summon a monster that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual from your hand with a different name than the returned monster, ignoring its summoning conditions. Not a once per turn. Not whenever your opponent activates a card or effect, you just get to swap it. Every single time they activate a card or effect, you get to swap monsters out. Why? You could dodge any targeted anything. It's so fucking crazy. It's so weird. All right, is there anything like worth continuing stream for? There's always APS videos. I feel mean doing the APS videos though. I like Paul. He just appeals to a different audience, right? I don't know. Why? Yeah, you're right. Why is... Oh, wait. Are they talking about in terms of lore? In that case, Shadow might actually be pretty up there. Shadow might actually be pretty up there in evil. We're just talking about lore. Oh boy. I don't really see anything that's worth going in on. What if we just watch sumo? No, we can't do that. I have to do a whole thing to watch sumo. It's a big pain in the ass. And then we haven't had any shit going on. There's not the next tournament will be in late July, I think. We could watch a domain duel. Those take 2 hours though. I can't believe domain takes so long, dude. Could react to one of your own videos. Oh boy. That'd be good. That'd be really good. I'm not opposed to necessarily to like doing a director's cut, but I don't really think I have much to say about it, if I'm being honest. Especially, like, if we go back to, like, any video, hell, even like a couple months ago, like, the GMX is weird and here's why. I couldn't tell you anything about making this video anymore. It's been too long. Speaking of which, I need to make the companion video to GMX is still weird and here's why soon. What's up with Indiacraft? I don't know. I haven't been paying much attention to them. They're not in Genesis format. No, we're not watching any of them Pyreans videos. I hear they're problematic. I hear they like girls kissing. Pokemon player tries Yu-Gi-Oh! By Gen TCG. You know what? That actually kind of sounds interesting. I'm curious, because we've seen a lot of Magic players try Yu-Gi-Oh! Right? I'm curious what a Pokemon player experience would be. There it is. 13 minutes? All right.
You might be aware that Pokemon players and Yu-Gi-Oh! Players seem to beef with each other on Twitter every 6 months or so. One of the things I always see highlighted
Wait, hold up.
You might be aware that Pokemon players and
Hi,
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Zuchi. That's replying to Yubel. That's what the fuck?
Players seem to beef with each other on Twitter every 6 months.
It's funny that all these examples are Pokemon players just being mean to Yu-Gi-Oh! Players for no reason.
One of the things I always see highlighted in these discussions is the fact that Pokemon is much cheaper to get into and play competitively. And I've played games like Magic in the past, and while I had a great time competing, it just got so freaking expensive. And I'd heard things similar about Yu-Gi-Oh!
How you doing,
about how
Zuchi?
that game was super expensive and impossible to play without, like, taking a mortgage on your house. Well, imagine my surprise when I see this tweet pop up in my feed. $30?
Yep.
Now is a bit...
The Legendary Modern Dex is one of the best products that has ever been released, I think. Like I can't describe how fucking good this this product is. It is so fucking good. I wouldn't say... I think Peeps is overstating it a little bit. He's overstating it a little bit. He's like exaggerating a little bit. It's got Mitsurugi, it's got Sky Striker, and it's got X-Saber. It's got X-Saber for some reason. I don't ask me why. You can make a competitively viable deck with just one box of this, but it won't be two competitively viable decks. It'll be a combination Mitsurugi Sky Striker deck. So it's not, he's exaggerating a little bit. If you want to have two competitively viable decks, you really have to buy like 2 or 3 copies of the box. But still, that could be a lot worse in Yu-Gi-Oh! And in other card games. This product is so fucking good. It's just so good. It's just so good.
$30? Now I was a bit skeptical at first, because wasn't Yu-Gi-Oh! Supposed to be an expensive game too? I knew that like starter decks existed, but didn't those all just suck compared to what real Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like at
Most of them, yeah.
tournaments? But nope, I did some follow-up research after seeing this tweet, and apparently 2 out of the 3 decks in the Legendary Modern Dex set were very tournament playable straight out of the box. And they could be easily upgraded to Tier 1 versions just by adding a few extra pieces too? Interesting. So I thought about it and debated whether I should give the box a shot. Really just for kicks and giggles, because I figured my Pokemon friends would think it's funny. I play a couple games with my homie, laugh about how absurd Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, and then go back to my merry life, right? Well, I did just that. I went to my local Best Buy and bought a box. I posted a picture of me buying the deck on my Twitter, expecting like maybe 4 or 5 of my Pokemon followers to laugh about it. I only had like 200 followers. I'm not a major content creator or famous player or anything, so...
Yet.
So no one would really care about my experiences getting into Yu-Gi-Oh!, right? Well, I guess...
Wait, what was that one post?
My Pokemon thing, so no one would really care about my experiences getting into Yu-Gi-Oh!, right?
Okay, I that's completely incomprehensible to me.
Well, I guess people really did care about my experience of getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! So I decided I couldn't let the people down. I was going to start learning the game and taking it seriously. I downloaded Master Duel, watched some deck and combo guides, brushed up on how the chain works, and all that stuff. It was information overload, but I grinded my way through it all. I
Look at that Royal
even
Eldom.
managed to win a game on Master Duel after like 5 or 6 attempts. And let me tell you, I haven't felt that proud of accomplishing anything in a game since like when I got into Dark Souls.
Ew,
back in
3
2016, and I
Mystical
beat
Space
some of the
Typhoon?
toughest bosses in that game. So after a few days of learning the game and talking to so many nice people on Twitter about it, I decided that I wanted to share my experience and what it's been like as a new Yu-Gi-Oh player in 2026. I also thought I'd share some of the similarities.
That is really true, Raxator. It's crazy, like how mean some specific people can be and how nice people are generally otherwise.
And differences between Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon that I've noticed. At least
Oh, ad break time. We'll be right back to finish this video. See you in a second.
Giant entertainment, giant terror. You'll see all of their terrifying battles to the death when you come to the greatest monster movies ever.
All right, we're back. We're back, folks.
So far. Where do I even start? This game is so f***ing hard. The learning curve is insane. Want to know how hard Pokemon is? I've taught people the complete rules of the game in under 10 minutes, including some corner cases that aren't immediately obvious too, like damage versus damage counters placed by effects of attacks. They might have a couple of reminder questions when we play our first game, like maybe how many supporters you can play, or how many items you can play in a turn, or whether you can evolve on the first turn you play a Pokemon. But generally they'll understand the rules well enough to play in a tournament setting after like just 1 or 2 practice games. Now Yu-Gi-Oh on the other hand, Let's just say I wasn't expecting the chain to be so confusing. I played Magic the Gathering competitively in the past. So
Well, there's your problem. I don't think the chain is actually all that confusing unless you've learned the Magic the Gathering, the stack. Because the chain and the stack work so different from each other, but so similar as well. Like they're like, it's really just a different, like learning a different language. So if you learn the stack first and then try to learn the chain, I think it's going to be 10 times more frustrating than if you just learn the chain at all, right?
I'm familiar with the idea of playing cards on your
And
opponent's
vice
turn,
versa.
but Yu-Gi-Oh kicks it up a notch with how the chain works, and how priority gets passed between players. It took a while for me to wrap my head around the various spell speeds, and I know on more than one occasion I was angry at Master.
I think the spell speeds are the worst way to learn how things work. I think learning them as spell speeds is like the worst way to learn how the speed of effects works. Like saying, oh, everything is spell speed 1 and then quick effects are spell speed 2 and traps and quick plays. The way I put it is there's like the stuff that happens at a normal spell speed. There's the stuff that there's just like the stuff, you know, and then there's stuff that happens at quick effect speed, and then there's the counter traps. You don't need to say spell speed 3 to encompass counter traps. It's only counter traps that do that. And for everything else, it could be like, oh, it happens at quick effect speed. Or it happens at at normal speed, right? That's all you have to say. And spell speed 4 is yeah. Yeah, I think the spell speed way of it, because like, why the fuck are trigger effects considered a spell speed 1 when they can happen kind of whenever, right?
Monster Duel for skipping a chance to let me activate a monster effect, only for me to realize later that it wasn't a quick effect, so it couldn't be activated at all. This isn't even getting into more intricate stuff like monster abilities going on a different, entirely separate chain when they're summoned from a first chain. I still haven't.
The fact that in Magic the Gathering things can just be put on the stack when they happen is so fucking insane to me. See, this is the thing though, like if you learn the chain and then learn the stack, it doesn't make any goddamn sense. If you learn the stack and then the chain, it doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Can't quite wrap my head around that yet. One thing that I've noticed is that out of the big 3 card games, that being Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon, Magic tends to play off the top of the deck a lot more, whereas Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon tend to have a lot more tutors. I picked up and played Magic decks before without knowing any of the cards in the deck.
Fair enough,
Just
Suchi.
fine,
I think at this point though, the stack is like the only thing, like the Magic the Gathering is the only place that uses the stack though, right?
Usually limited to only playing the cards from your hand onto the board. You're not really searching your deck for cards every single turn. Tutors are fun, and I do like what Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon do with them, but in my experience, having to choose a card in your deck really puts pressure on you to pick the correct card every single time. Both games have a lot of tutors, but I think where they differ is how easy or obvious the correct card choice is when it comes to using a given tutor. For example, in Pokemon, if my board has a copy of Ralts on it, and I play an Ultra Ball, it's pretty obvious that I most likely want to get a Kirlia because Kirlia says right on the card to evolve Ralts into it. It gets more complicated with cards like Arvin or Secret Box, which can get multiple cards. But in general, I found that the correct card to get based on the board in Pokemon is usually at least fairly obvious. Or at the very least, even if the card you grab isn't optimal, it would have to be pretty deliberate for you to grab a completely useless card. In other words, using deck search is a skill that even brand new players can learn quickly without having to spend 2 minutes thumbing through their deck and reading each of their cards to choose the right one every single time.
What? I'm gonna let her finish her point, but I already don't like where this is going.
But my experience playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Wasn't like this at all. The deck I decided to build on Master Duel was the Radiant Typhoon deck. And who knows, maybe it's just the deck I decided to start with, but this deck uses a ton of cards that can search out monsters that say Radiant Typhoon in their name. So when I would use a card like Radiant Typhoon Crocea, I would get like 8 different options thrown up on my screen. and since I'm new, it's not obvious which one is the best one to choose. I had to read every single card to remember what their effects even were. Was this one the monster that gets a level 4 Radiant Typhoon monster? Was this one the one that gets a spell or trap? Was this one the one that shuffles stuff on my opponent's board back into their deck? Then once I read the cards, I had to think how I wanted to play out the rest of my turn. Which Radiant Typhoon monster do I end up going for? I ended up using so much time just to wrap my head around the possibilities and then figure out what the best option even was. And it doesn't even stop there either. Once I'd get my engine pieces set up on the board, I had even more decisions to make when it came to which extra deck monster to pivot into. Do I summon Totem Bird here? Little Knight? IP Masquerena? Radiant Typhoon Vararoon? Greatfly? Wind the Wind Charmer? This stuff is probably really obvious to experienced players, but let me...
Yeah. I'm sorry, what? This point is nonsense. What the fuck? Yeah, you have to learn the game to know how to play the game. I'm sorry. You have to learn your deck to know how to play your deck. That goes for Pokemon too. If the main advantage Pokemon has is that everyone knows Pokemon, right? If you come into Pokemon not knowing Pokemon, if you come into Pokemon TCG not knowing Pokemon, you don't know that you need to get Curlia to evolve your Ralts. What are we talking about? It's just because you don't know the monsters yet. I'm sorry, Pokemon's one of the most popular IPs on the fucking planet. Not everyone could be that.
Tell you, I literally timed out 80% of my matches when starting out because I had to spend so much time reading my cards to even try and figure out which one was the correct one to play. This sort of decision
I would suggest reading your cards before you play the deck.
paralysis is where I stumbled the most this week when trying to learn how to actually play Yu-Gi-Oh! And also, as an aside, I also played the Mitsurugi deck in paper, and let me tell you, trying to decide what to grab was so much worse with this than when I played Radiant Typhoon on Master Duel.
Okay, yeah, Mitsurugi's a much more complicated deck.
Because at least on Master Duel, it filters out the valid search targets for you, and it formats the
Oh,
effects
that
to be a
too.
little bit more readable. Though, that being said, on the topic of spending...
Dude, I wish we formatted our text differently. That is one thing. I wish our text was formatted in a much more readable way. The OCG gets to have a much more readable format, but we don't for some
time
reason.
reading my cards. I don't want to beat a dead horse, since I know this has already been memed about to death, but oh my god, Yu-Gi-Oh cards
God,
are
Rush Duel formatting would be so good. Rush Duel formatting wouldn't work unless we significantly simplified text, though, which is what Rush Duel did, right?
This is probably the most wordy Pokemon card I can think of that sees any play right now. Its first ability is a play effect that gets up to 5 dark...
Okay, chat, I want you to cast your bets as to what card is coming up after this. I want you to what Yu-Gi-Oh card is going to be showed in comparison to this. Endymion, I mean, that would be a classic, right? That's the classic one.
Energy from your
Mighty
deck,
Master, maybe.
Say Marnie-san.
I'm going to say Habakiri. I think because of her experience with the Mitsurugi, I'm going to say Habakiri.
Then, it also has an attack that does 180 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon and 30 to one of the bench monsters. So it's
What,
not the
DDD
simplest
guy,
card out there,
potentially?
but because of how it separates out the ability and the attack, it's pretty easy for me to read. Now, let's compare this to a Yu-Gi-Oh card that stumped me for a while. Super Star Slayer.
Oh, whoa! I didn't expect this guy!
Typhon. Again, I'm not gonna harp on this too long because I know it's already been talked about to death, but like, couldn't the designers have at least put line breaks or bullet points or something to separate out?
I mean, she's got us there, right? She does have us there. They do it in the OCG. Actually, let's look up and see if we can see an OCG Typhon. Can we see what it looks like in the OCG? That's not going to give us what we want. Can I get that, like... Oh my god. Even at blurry though, 1, 2, not line breaks, but they have fucking bullet points to help separate out the effects. Imagine if we had that. All it takes is adding one little Unicode thing. it doesn't even require changing the way the formatting works, because all I do is put in a 1 and a 2. Fuck, dude, it would be so easy to do. It'd be so easy to do. And it would just increase the readability by that much.
These abilities. I know Master Duel does this, and I'm also aware that in Asia they number out the abilities on physical cards, but it still sucks playing.
She even mentions that, yeah. There's a better resolution of it. Look at that. It's so much more readable, even though I don't read the language.
In paper in the US. The first deck I played was the Mitsurugi deck that came with the Legendary Modern Decks collection.
You should have played the Sky Striker deck. That deck's a lot more simple.
And oh my god, this product wasn't made for brand new players at all, was it? To help you
Well, yeah, not really.
understand where I'm coming from, because this might sound ridiculous to you guys that I bought a structure deck like this to start with. Let me tell you about how Pokemon does it. Pokemon has introductory decks called League Battle decks. These are generally ever so slightly simplified, yet tier 1 archetypes that are designed.
Well, yeah, but Pokemon's a really simple game that doesn't need a specific beginner product
for new players to
Pokemon is boringly simple, I would say. So simple as to be a little bit boring, perhaps.
Get into competitive Pokemon with. In the Pokemon community, whenever a new player joins the scene, it's very common advice to just tell them, hey, go buy one of the League Battle decks, play it at a few tournaments, and then upgrade it whenever you feel ready. And this is very good advice, mind you. 3 of the latest of the decks are based around Dragapult, Gardevoir, and Charizard.
Also, look at the fucking power creep on HP. When I was playing Pokemon TCG and playing as a stretch, honestly, they capped out at like 200. They gave Wailord like 200 HP because it would be the biggest guy.
Which have all won major
Here's 340 HP.
So players will pick up the decks, get a feel for how the tier 1 archetype works at its core, and then upgrade it with more optimized tutors and
Yeah, that is true. The complexity is in the trainer cards, and like I think that's probably what they're removing from these beginner decks. The basic gameplay of it is not complex. It is all in like decision making and the trainer cards, like which ones you do at which point. Whereas in Yu-Gi-Oh, you can have complexity just from like your deck building, right?
Tech cards and the like. It's overall a fantastic experience for new players, since the decks are pretty easy to play at a basic level. I know a ton of people who've gone this route and then become entrenched Pokemon players. Heck, this is how I got into Pokemon in the first place. I bought a Charizard League Battle deck back in late 2024, and then fell in love with the game soon after. So I was expecting something similar in Yu-Gi-Oh, and I'll fully admit, maybe this one is on me. Maybe there is a product out there that really is both ready to play at tournaments and yet still easy for
No, there really isn't. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. There really isn't.
beginners to pick up the game and learn it with. But in my opinion, the Legendary Modern decks were absolutely not made for beginners. At least not for beginners who didn't want to be chucked straight into the deep end of the Yu-Gi-Oh pool.
That's true, Zuchi. People talk about Yu-Gi-Oh being solitaire, but like Pokemon is fucking solitaire sometimes. Because you just sit there watching them like go through their entire deck.
Could not pick up and play the deck. I had to ask so many questions to the poor guy I was playing with. I felt so bad for him. If I told a person who's never played a card game before to start with the Legendary Modern decks, 9 out of 10 times they would get so frustrated at the complexity and probably just bounce off of Yu-Gi-Oh entirely. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing the product itself.
It is absolutely the wrong way to go about getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! Unfortunately, the way to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Is to have someone help you get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Like that's the best way to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Is to have someone help you get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Unfortunately. I don't even know if you could make a product that would be good for getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! Because if you made a product that was good for getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! It wouldn't get you into Yu-Gi-Oh! It would get you into a Yu-Gi-Oh! That maybe existed 25 years ago, right? It's either going to be too complex for a person who's just beginning, or it's going to be too simple to actually get you to where modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is.
I think the Dex collection is a fantastic product, and I'm still so happy I bought it. I think I'll most likely be upgrading the Mitsurugi deck if I move to a place that has a strong in-person Yu-Gi-Oh scene, but it absolutely was not a pick-up-and-play experience for beginners. And unless there actually is a product that does this well that's also tournament viable, then I think it's
See, that's what she's looking for. Something that does that and is tournament viable. That product does not exist.
a bit of a shame that there's no good equivalent to Pokemon's League Battle decks in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Again, I don't know that that kind of product can exist in Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe if there was like a Millennium deck. Millennium's a pretty simple deck that might be able to maybe ease someone in. That's true, Zuchi. The fact that Master Duel does a lot of the work for you, I think makes Master Duel like a pretty okay system. It's not a great system, but it's a much better way than using any of the physical product that exists. Especially the 2-player starter kit.
I can make an entire video about Pokemon TCG Live, which is Pokemon's digital client. It's pretty notorious in the Pokemon community for being bare bones, buggy, and overall just kind of ugly to look at. But on the bright side, it is by far the most generous digital card game I've ever played. Even more so than Legends of Runeterra if any of you guys played that. Rest in peace, Legends of Runeterra PvP. I've played Pokemon TCG Live off and on.
I've always heard people say that the Pokemon TCG Live is not very generous at all.
For about a year and a half, and I have so much digital currency that I can literally craft every single relevant deck in the format like 10 times over. I'm never going to run out of crafting materials. In fact, it's physically impossible to spend money in Pokemon TCG Live. This game exists to be a companion to paper cards instead of a vehicle for Pokemon to make money off of.
Yeah, I played a lot of Pokemon TCG Online, is what it was called. Played a shit ton of that. I only played a little bit of Live when it first came out.
On the other hand, Master Duel seems to me like it's the complete opposite of Pokemon's digital client. It has pop-in animations for boss monsters when you summon them, it has cool sound effects, the cards look modern, the animations are sleek, and it's generally just a pretty enjoyable experience to play. But, and I might ruffle some feathers when I say this, but I do have to say it, the economy is just not nearly as good as the Pokemon TCG Live economy.
Oh, I was about to say the economy is greedy as fuck. True. Master Duel is greedy as fuck. People have been telling me it's generous for a long time. You're fucking insane. I'm so fucking sorry. You're just fucking insane if you believe that. And it's gotten worse over time. It's gotten significantly worse. So she's actually coming in at like one of the worst periods. Every period is the worst period for Master Duel economy, but she's coming in at one of the worst. So
Pokemon TCG Live gives you tons of starter decks completely for free, and many of these needed very little dust to craft into tournament-winning versions. Yu-Gi-Oh! Seemed to shower me in.
It would be generous if we could disenchant legacy pack cards. True. And also if we could like turn the shit ton of NR dust I have into higher levels of dust. I don't care what the exchange rate is. Just like anything at all.
Gems really early on when creating my account, but once I used these gems to buy the selection packs I thought were the best, it got so much more stingy. It seems like they really want you to spend money on the game, and I've had to get used to the change from being spoiled by Pokemon to having to save up cards to dust in Master Duel. I still haven't even finished my Radiant Typhoon deck since I'm missing some key staples I want to run like Called by the Grave and Moltarmi Fualos.
Yeah, unfortunately the thing is if you want to get into Master Duel, you can't go for a meta deck immediately. You just have to go for staples to build up your shitty decks. It sucks because by the time you get your good deck together, it might get hit by the ban list, right? So you got to go for staples first.
Other thing
because those will stay.
Those League Battle decks I've been talking about previously. Well, in paper Pokemon TCG, whenever you buy anything physically,
like I stopped playing Master Duel because of how shitty this shit is. When was the last time I played Master Duel? I still have it installed. I just haven't played it. When was the last time I played it? September of 2025 was the last time I opened the game. Not even necessarily when I played it last. Last time I opened the game was September 17th, 2025. I fucking hate the game now. It's so fucking annoying.
Whether it be a pack or a precon, it always comes with a QR code you can scan in Pokemon TCG.
Why doesn't Yu-Gi-Oh do this? Why doesn't Yu-Gi-Oh do this? It's insane to me.
Live to get a digital version of. In other words, when you buy a League Battle deck online or at your local game store, you get
it doesn't even have to be like cards, a pack of cards. It could literally just be, here's a couple of gems. Thank you for buying a set. Like, thank you for buying fucking packs of cards.
Free copy to mess around with in PTCGL as well. I was disappointed when I learned that in Master Duel didn't have this feature at all. I was hoping to get Mitsurugi practice in Master Duel, since I thought the deck was really fun on paper, but alas, that wasn't really possible.
And then Mitsurugi is like fucking all URs. What? Let's see. Master Duel meta. Mitsurugi. UR, SR. Oh, there's an N. Oh, there's an R. SR, UR. SR. Like, fuck, dude. And they're all main deck cards.
So overall, after spending 1 week playing Yu-Gi-Oh, what are my thoughts? Well...
Hey, that's my friend, Reisvelger.
I think it's a great game. It definitely lives up to its reputation of being super difficult to learn, much more so than any other card game I've played. I think if they wanted to, Konami could simplify the effects of new cards to make it easier for people to get into the game.
So the problem is, though, if you simplify effects, you can't power creep them to make them the good cards as easily, right?
But I think reducing complexity would also cut down on some gameplay intricacies that I know I'd enjoy once I managed to wrap my head around them.
And that's the other thing, is like, it just wouldn't be Yu-Gi-Oh,
I
right?
think there are some improvements that could be made to the layout of the cards to help them be easier to read. But in my opinion, a lot of the complexity of reading cards is also just because of the way that Yu-Gi-Oh cards are designed. And I do think that Master Duel gets a lot right in terms of how it feels to play, but I can confidently say that I hate how its economy is set up. So what's next for me? Well, I plan on playing this game even more. I really want to try going to some local tournaments, since I found that locals are the best way to improve at card games while making some new friends too. And who knows, eventually I might make it out to a YCS at some point. I've been to 4 Pokemon regionals, which are roughly the equivalent of YCSs, and they've all been a ton of fun. I'd be curious to see what the differences between Pokemon regionals and Yu-Gi-Oh YCSs are.
I've never been to a Pokemon regional, but knowing like what Pokemon does for their shit, I imagine the YCS will be pretty underwhelming.
Anyways, thank you for watching. This is my first YouTube video I've ever made, and so let me know what your thoughts are. Be sure to drop a like and...
Hell yeah. We'll give that a like. I have my quibbles with it, but yeah. Yeah, this is the problem. The deck is either tournament ready or it's easy to play. Like yeah, it's weird. I've always heard people say that the Pokemon thing was not exactly free to play friendly, but everyone in chat here is saying it is. In the comments, I should say. This is actually a good point. Using Typhon as example is like a lot. It feels a lot more real than like the performative anger over like Endymion and shit like that. This is the thing, yeah. Mitsurugi was like the hardest deck in the box, but it is also the best deck in the box. So like, yeah. I think Sky Striker. So like, this person says there's a point here, like, you know, Sky Striker is a little more non-linear, but like, I don't know. I think the way it works. She's been playing Sky Striker more. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Sky Striker, the way it works is more non-linear, but I think it's in a way that's understandable to a Pokemon player. Perfectly fine. So, yeah. Cool video. I like I said, I had that one quibble with that one point, but otherwise, like, I don't know, got us dead to rights on a lot of that shit. Like, but like, it's not like it's our fault, right? It's fucking Konami's fault for being stupid. There's no fucking reason why they haven't put in the bullet points from the OCG. There's no fucking reason. Ah. That was a good video, though. I'm curious what's showing up in the side here. Wait, did they tried to teach? I didn't see it 3 years ago. I didn't see them trying to teach Prof Yu-Gi-Oh. That's funny. Yeah, I think I'm probably just from Tolarian Community College. Prof the professor. What else we got here? Got the Sky Striker, the perfect Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Okay, that's funny. A discussion on fail to find. Funny. Another one about the game being hard. Funny. Yeah, fuck it. Jen, if you see this, let's collab. I like that the Sky Striker is up in the thing there. One of the general downsides of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a big chunk of the complexity is done not to make the decks more interesting, but done to do the power creep. Cards exist that are designed to not target in order to beat over cards that can't targeted. Now every Yu-Gi-Oh! Player has to learn that. It's true, yeah. But like the problem is that it comes down to no rotation, right? You have to have power creep to sell new sets because you don't have rotation to reset the power creep, right? But if you had rotation in Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Players would fucking revolt. Hey chat, why do her videos get more views than mine? I just gotta make more, apparently. I just gotta make more. That'll do it. I hate being a Yugi tuber, dude. I want to get a museum job, but they won't let me. They won't hire me. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe to Empire, and you can see. Oh yeah, actually, this video right here, fan-made cards and why they matter, is coming out soon. Not just soon, literally tomorrow. So if you're excited to learn about fan-made cards and why they matter, this is coming out literally tomorrow. So check it out. It's got Drill Warrior in it. Look at that, Drill Warrior. He's fan-made. Did you know that? You make a lot of videos that are made to appeal to people regardless of their previous TCG experience. Yeah. I make some videos like that. Yeah, I make some videos that can appeal to you regardless of your previous TCG experience. Yeah, I make some that are like that. Yeah, I make some that are kind of like that. I think part of it is I used to do these Yu-Gi-Oh reacts that only did okay and really held me back. I think I moved them to another channel, so if you still want to see those, they're over here, and you can watch them right over here. But I think they were holding me back a little bit because they're just like not good. People like to watch them, but you know they're not good for actually getting views. And I'm hoping that now that I've moved those, some of these videos that are good will actually start to get recommended more often. What would be the Yu-Gi-Oh equivalent of you have Uno on your Xbox? I don't know. I don't know how to begin answering that question. I don't even know how to approach it. Yeah, tomorrow at 3 p.m. fan-made cards and why they matter coming to you. You can watch it. You can watch it right now for just $1 on the Patreon. It's really easy. You just got to pay $1 on the Patreon and you can watch it right now. I do feel like the GMX video is a little bit less general TCG friendly. Maybe I should like get into Magic the Gathering and make a video that's like Yu-Gi-Oh player plays Magic the Gathering for the first time. Here's my thoughts. Make an hour-long video of me just saying shit. They don't have to know that I've played it before. They could just, they don't have to know that. Commander's your way to go. But what if I want to play a good card game? Being mean for no reason. Commander seems fun enough. Yu-Gi-Oh player tries Yu-Gi-Oh for the first time? Ooh, that actually would be a really funny thing. I'm going to keep that in mind for April 1st. That would be a really fucking funny April 1st video. Yu-Gi-Oh player tries Yu-Gi-Oh for the first time. Oh no, I actually already have a Commander deck built. If I play Commander, I'm gonna use that deck and I'm gonna proxy it. I'm not gonna buy any cards that are real. It's based on the Chocobos. I have the Chocobo landfall cards. They're funny. I also have been wanting to build a Storm deck, because Storm is like the most Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic the Gathering thing, and the Otter Storm cards are really fucking cute. So I want to make a Storm deck featuring that new guy from Strixhaven. What the fuck is his name? Strixhaven Storm Dragon. Prismari. Instants and sorceries you cast have Storm. I really want to make a Storm deck with this guy as the commander. And just the rest of the deck is Otters. Yes. Okay. I've run out of steam. I got nothing left. Good Yu-Gi-Oh! Thursday, everyone. We'll be back next time with Yu-Gi-Oh! Tuesday on the normal day, where we watch the anime. By the way, Sunday, is going to be at Steam Next Fest. I'm going to do another Steam Next Fest. So we're going to play a bunch of demos. What do I have on the docket? Let me just read out what I have on the docket. We've got Hell Heartbreaker, Welcome to Elderfield, Meaningless Random Numbers, Tor, that one looks interesting, Red Chat Ritual, funny, Moonlight Peaks, and Riz Dungeon Skeleton Key to My Heart. That one looks fun. So yeah, that's what we're going to be playing on Sunday. Next Tuesdays we're going to be doing Yu-Gi-Oh! Back to anime shit. And then Thursday, who the fuck knows? Maybe I'll get Golden Nova in here and we can do Craw. We'll see. I want to do Craw soon. We've got a lot to Craw, as usual. But yeah, thanks for watching. Exclamation point socials and chat. Let me get that started. We'll get you everywhere that I'm at. If you want to have every link to all the various YouTube channels you want to subscribe to and Blue Sky and all that stuff, it's right there. Empyrean.neocities.org. And I'm going to send you over to someone else now. Who am I sending you to? I've sent you to... Oh, you know, we don't raid hard leg on a Thursday very often. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Tuesday. I'll send you the hard leg, who's apparently also talking about Magic the Gathering. All right. Well, you'll have a great time with hard leg. Hard leg's great. Love working with him that one time. Did you know... I don't know if people know this. I actually made the theme for the last season of Chaos Draft. I'm the one who made the music for the last season of Chaos Draft for Hard Leg. That's why I got him on 3 Shots to Duel that one time. But yeah, I'm gonna send it over to Hard Leg. We're gonna have a great time over there. When you're over there, be kind and courteous. I'll ask you. With that said, be kind to yourselves. Be kind to others. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye, everyone. Have a nice day.